Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to look at those times where you feel like you're being really consistent with your diet and your training, but you're maybe not seeing the results that you feel like you deserve. So we're going to look at what could be stopping you from losing fat. So we've divided this up into kind of the calories in side of the equation and the calories out side of the equation. And that's because if you're not seeing fat loss, so either the scales aren't going down, or more importantly, you're not seeing measures around your middle going down, it means you're not in a big enough calorie deficit, or if you are, you're just not giving it enough time. So that's the first place I'd look at. It goes, how long have you been following, let's say, your diet? How long have you been consistent with it? If you've not done at least 4 weeks, you might just not be being patient enough. So you might just need to give it more time. If you're doing that, then this video is for you. So first of all, let's have a look at the outside of the equation, because I'd argue this is the easiest side of the equation to sort out. So the first thing I want you to look at is your frequency of training. So how many times are you getting in the gym each week? Are you getting in once or twice, or are you getting in 3, 4, 5 times a week? If you're not getting in there between 3 and 5 times a week, that'd be one of my first ports of call. I'd look at ways that you can get more active in the gym. So can you add an extra gym session in? Can you put your kit in the car and go on your way to work? Or can you get out for a quick run after you've finished work? Okay, that'd be the first thing I'd look at, is strategies to get more training sessions in per week. So the next thing I'd look at is when you actually get to the gym, what are you actually doing? Are you actually following a program? Have you got a program there? I urge you to get one that's based around strength training. So, and then are you progressing it? So are you getting in the gym? Each week you have a plan that you need to follow, and then each week you're trying to progress it. So either lifting a little bit more weight than you did the previous week, or pushing for an extra rep on your last set maybe, or are you improving the technique, slowing and controlling the weights a little bit better? You know, are you taking slightly shorter rests? These are all little ways that you can progressively overload your body, so you keep giving it stimulus, so that is going to cause you to burn more calories during the session, and because you've got to adapt to the stimulus, you're going to burn more calories in recovery after the session. If this is one for you, this is where I'd suggest getting a coach. This is where, you know, we'll give you a training program, so every time you go into the gym, you know exactly what you need to be doing, and then you know how you should be progressing it each week, and you've got somebody to check in with to make sure that that's happening and make sure that program is working for you. So the final one we're going to look at on the outside of the equation is your NEAT. So this is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is the calories you burn moving around on a daily basis, doing anything that isn't planned activity. So anything that's not in the gym or getting out for a run or sports, anything like that. So this is your step count. This is going to work. This is taking the kids to school. This is like even shivering, things like that. All this classes as NEAT. So believe it or not, on a daily basis, this is likely to contribute more to your calorie expenditure than actual structured training. So this is a big one to look at. So more recently it's become more popular, people wearing Apple Watches or Fitbits or using their phone to track their step count. So that's the first thing I'd suggest you do. So can you start to hit, say, 10,000 steps a day? If that seems like a big target, whatever you're doing at the minute, just try and add 1,000 steps to it. If you do that every week, add another 1,000 and another 1,000 until you're hitting between 10 and 12,000 steps a day. Okay? I'd suggest the final thing for that is to do that as an average, because you're going to have some busy days where hitting 10,000 or 12,000 steps might just be too much. So over the course of the week, can you average 10,000 steps a day? So some days you'll do more, other days you'll do less. But that's the big one. So are you doing all of these things and making sure you're maximizing your calorie expenditure so you can help to build that calorie deficit? Now we have the calories inside of the equation. And I'd argue this is where most people are likely to go wrong, because it's far easier to take in a lot more calories than it is to go and expend them either moving around or getting into the gym. So the first thing I'd look at is the amount of food you're eating. So, you know, are you being honest with the amount you're eating? Now I'm not saying that you're purposefully lying here and, you know, having a chocolate bar and going, oh, you know, I won't really count that, things like that. But are the things that you're just picking at? So when the kids are eating, are you just picking something off their plate and going, oh, that one won't matter? Or are you just like nibbling at things when you're cooking your own dinner? Because all of those little things can add up. But then also, when you actually sit down for meals, I'd suggest looking at your plate and going, right, have I got a portion of protein there? Is it roughly the size of at least one palm of your hand? Have you got some carbohydrates in there? So a couple of cupped handfuls or big serving spoons full of kind of rice, potato, things like that. And are you making sure that you're not putting too many fats on there? So things like sauces, dressings, olive oil, you're not lathering your food with things like that. That would be my first port of call with the calories inside of the equation. If it's not that, it could be the fact you just don't realise how many calories are in certain foods, because it's not always the case that more food equals more calories. There are things like an avocado, for example, probably the icon of healthy eating at the moment. However, because it's a good source of fats, it's very, very high calorie, because fats have 9 calories per gram compared to only 4 calories for carbohydrates and protein. So do you need to start looking at something like MyFitnessPal or looking at the packets of food and just sort of estimating roughly how many calories are in the portions that you're having? And then that leads us on to the final one, which is tracking. So are you keeping a food diary, whether that's just written, like kind of roughly the portion sizes that you're having and everything you're eating and drinking throughout the day? Or are you using something like MyFitnessPal? If you've already been keeping it by hand or just writing down everything that you're eating, I'd suggest moving on to something like MyFitnessPal. You maybe don't need to look at the numbers straight away, but I'd start to use it and plug in the things that you're eating each day just to make yourself aware of how many calories are in some of the foods that you're eating. You might be surprised at some of the numbers that come out, and then it might lead back into the portion sizes and you go, all right, well, I need to cut down on my portion sizes with that, but then I need to increase my portion sizes of, say, vegetables or potato or fibrous carbohydrates, things like that, so that you can eat more of them, you can feel full, but still build that calorie deficit. Okay, so let's just recap on what we've gone through. So if you're not losing fat over a period of time, you've been patient and you've given it at least 4 weeks, if you've not noticed the scales going down or circumference measures going in or pictures changing, then it means you're not in a big enough calorie deficit, so that's why you're not losing fat. So that means you either need to look at expending more calories through making sure you're getting into the gym 3 to 5 times a week, through following a structured plan when you get into the gym and progressively overloading your body each week, so either lifting more weights, more reps, or improving the technique and tempo, taking shorter rest periods, things like that. Or do you need to get your steps up outside of the gym and be more active outside of the gym to increase calorie expenditure? And then on the inside of the equation, do you need to start looking at portion sizes or being aware of what you're actually eating? Do you need to start looking at the calorie density of food, so start making yourself aware of how many calories are actually in the foods that you're eating, and take your tracking that one step further so that you start to look at how many calories you should be eating and then building your deficit based off that. I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them below, or you can check me out on Facebook at CoachRimmer.com or Instagram at CoachRimmer, and feel free to drop me a message on there.